Reach measures the unique users who see your content. Impressions is the total views. Okay.
Welcome to the Simplified Social Marketing Podcast. I'm Chelsea Gardner, and if you're ready to make marketing clear, manageable, and fun with practical steps and effective tools, you are in the right place, my friend. Together, we'll untangle the complexities of marketing your business and transform them into clear, actionable steps. Let's dive in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Simplified Social Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea Gardner, and today we are going to dive into using analytics to improve your social media strategy. So we know that analytics and really diving into what your social media analytics are. I mean, honestly, analytics with anything, we need the data to see if something is working, regardless of what it is, and your social media should be no different. So analytics are crucial for really understanding what is working, what doesn't work, and then it really helps you refine your strategy for even better results than what you're currently getting. So I want to talk about maybe the key metrics to track or tools that you can use and how to leverage some of that data to, again, really dive into optimizing the strategy that you're currently doing. So obviously, data-driven decisions can significantly enhance your social media, right? So if we know the data, we know what is going on behind the scenes, what our audience is saying, what our audience prefers, right? Because we're doing social media not for ourselves. We are doing social media for our ideal client, those who we want to attract into our world. So if we are loan officers trying to attract real estate agents, the social media content that we are putting out there is not for us because we like it. It's for, I mean, obviously you want to do stuff that you love, but it is for our ideal client, the information, all of that. So we want to look at what data we do have and make decisions based off of that data because it can drastically improve our performance because we're identifying what is successful content as well as where we can improve, right? If we are talking about a topic over and over and over again with zero engagement, but then we talk about another topic maybe twice that gets a ton of engagement, well, our audience is telling us something, right? So when we use analytics effectively, we're more likely to be able to achieve our goals, right? You can really kind of look at where you're starting right now, adjust your strategy, and I bet you will see an increase in engagement or reach or whatever metric you're looking at. So let's talk about metrics. Okay, so let's kind of dive into some key metrics to track because sometimes I think people get caught up in so much of the vanity metrics. And honestly, don't get me wrong, right? This whole episode is on analytics and understanding your metrics. But I also don't want you to get caught up in those metrics so much so that you're like, oh my gosh, my post got no likes, no one is seeing it. Or I got 0 comments, gosh, no one engages with my stuff ever. Or wow, like no one is following me, right? Because even if your metrics don't show 100 likes or 5 comments or shares or saves or whatever, does not mean people aren't seeing it, okay? Does not mean people aren't seeing it. You would be so shocked at the amount of times I post on my social media and I'm like, it got no likes, it got no comments. But then I'll get an email that's like, hey, you posted about da 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 da, right? Or I'll be in a conversation with someone. They're like, oh yeah, I saw your video and loved, like, that really helped me out. Cool. Why didn't you comment that? Why didn't you like that video and tell me that, right? So don't think people aren't seeing your stuff just because there's no engagement. But if you're looking for engagement, the metrics that you're going to look at are likes, comments, shares, and saves. Those are the main engagement metrics of a post. So obviously likes are going to be, they hit that little heart button. Comments are obviously things that they say in the comment section. Shares is where they either shared it to their story, shared with a friend, shared it, they hit that little arrow button. That's a share. And then save is that little paper button on the far right corner that's saving it into their archive or into their folder, their saved folder. Those are engagement metrics. Now, obviously, when it comes to Instagram, the metric that is going to kind of give you the most boost, right? The thing that the algorithm loves is going to be shares, right? If you have share worthy content, that's why you see meme accounts do so well, because it makes people laugh. It's relatable. So they're always sharing. You see, if you go into my stories, I share memes all the time, right? There's these stupid little dice memes where they're talking back and forth or whatever. They're just absolutely hilarious to me. But I share it into my stories. And so that's why you see a lot of those meme accounts or quotes, things like that do really well, because it's all share worthy. It's like, oh, I relate to that. Okay. And then reach and impressions. So a lot of people get confused between these two scenarios. Reach measures the unique users who see your content. Impressions is the total views. Okay. So for example, your post can reach me once, but it can impress me 10 times. Okay. So I can only be reached by it once, meaning a unique user. So when I look at things, I primarily look at reach and how many individual people did my post get put in front of. Okay. Follower growth obviously is tracking your follower count. Over time, it does kind of help you gauge with audience growth. But again, don't dive so deep into follower growth. Yes, we want to be growing, but I hear so often, I want 10,000 followers. I want 5,000 followers. How do I get to 20,000 followers? This person is 36,000 followers. How do I get there? Anyone can get you 36,000 followers. Are they the right followers? Are they going to be followers that engage with your content? Are they bot followers, like BOT, or are they BOUGHT, bot followers? So anyways, are they paid for followers? Like anyone can tell you they can get you 36,000 followers, but you will need to make sure that they are the right followers, right? If you are a loan officer and you can only do loans in the state of Florida, what is 36,000 followers in Africa going to do for you? What is 36,000 followers in California going to do for you? Nothing. Would you rather have 36,000 followers in California, or would you rather have 360 followers in the state of Florida that can actually do business with you, right? So think about that when you're thinking about followers and growth. You want to make sure that you are attracting the right followers. Okay, next up when we talk about metrics is click-through rate. Click-through rate is definitely something to track, especially if you are running ads. I don't necessarily look at click-through rate so much so on my social posts, but it shows how often people are clicking on links in your post. So it is a really good metric. You can look at how many times people have clicked maybe on your website link or anything like that. So it does kind of show that interest or that relevance to something. So if you have in your bio, if you have like a CTA that says like free resources on my site, and you have 7 people that click to that does show like interest, relevancy. If that maybe free resource is even, relevant to your audience or wanted by your audience, anything like that. You can also look at conversion rates. Again, this would definitely be in Facebook ads, unless you're running custom audience ads, which is a whole nother story. But conversion rates measure how many actual users take a desired action. So sign up for your email list, or they, sign up to have a phone call with you, or whatever the case is. That would be a conversion rate. They go from your Instagram to, getting on your calendar or whatever. Okay, now you can use so many different tools to analyze your social media performance. So obviously you can easily just go into your Facebook or your Instagram or your Google Business or wherever and look at the native tools that the platform has. So if you're looking at your Instagram, if you're looking at your Facebook, you can go into the analytics section and you can really kind of dive into those analytics. You can see your demographics, the age, the gender that's following you. All of that stuff is built into those native tools. You can also use third-party tools, such as scheduling tools. So for example, I use Metricool to schedule all of my content and all of my clients' content. And with that comes an analytics section. So all of the platforms that I have linked inside of Metricool, which Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google Business, I think X can link in there, your website can link in there, YouTube, all of those analytics can actually pull into that third-party platform. And you can see everything with like literally just a click of a button, switching between them. So third-party tools are great for some analytics. Sprout Social is one of them, Google Analytics. So you can really kind of see some of those analytics through third-party tools. That's what I usually would recommend, especially if you are scheduling content, you can use it through your scheduler. Just know that for some schedulers, the content is a bit lagged. So I know in Metricool, if you just kind of get in there and you just link like your Instagram, sometimes it's lagged about a month before it catches up with the data. So keep that in mind. You may want to kind of do a brief comparison. If you pull up your Facebook analytics and the third-party analytics, you might be able to see like a slight little difference there. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're reviewing analytics. Those native analytic tools tend to be probably the most like right on the money, right? They're right on the spot because they usually are most up to date. But those third-party tools make it just a lot easier to kind of see everything. Okay, and then what are we even looking at analytics for? So at the very beginning, I talked about understanding the data so that we can identify what's working, what's not working. We can really look at the trends. So we want to see what trends are happening inside of our data. And that will help us understand what types of content perform better for us. So you always hear video, 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 but there are some accounts and there are some platforms that video doesn't do the best, or carousels do better, or regular just images do better, or quotes do better, right? We got to look for those trends because I can tell you all day long, video gets a ton of reach, but if you're posting carousels and you're noticing that your carousels are getting a ton of engagement, well, if your analytic data that you want to track more of get more, let's say you want more engagement on your content, then you need to be posting more carousels. Or if you see, like, kind of backing up a little bit, I got ahead of myself a little bit ago, but if you see that you're posting a lot of USDA content and there's nothing, right? There's no engagement, there's no likes, but then you post, 5, 6 pieces of VA content and you get tons of engagement. Well, that is a trend. So that type of content performs better. Do it more, right? Then give more VA content. That's what your audience is craving. So think about that. If your videos do consistently get higher engagement, consider incorporating more video content, right? So that is what we're looking for when we're looking at these analytics, is what type of trends or patterns can we identify to make our social media better. And then it helps us to understand our audience's behavior, right? So like I said, some people don't want to watch video content. They're so over video content. They want to scroll through a carousel and see the fun facts, or, see what they need to qualify for a VA loan. That is understanding your audience and how they interact with your content. So this will help you also maybe see if you are using a scheduling platform. It may also help you understand when your audience is most active, right? So if you are getting a ton of likes and comments later in the evening on your content, well, then maybe you should start scheduling your posts later in the evening. Now, this is a little outdated in terms of, make sure you post the times that your audience is most active. There is a metric that you can look at to see when your audience is most active. That is fairly outdated because I have had content take off at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's been scheduled accidentally at 2 a.m. instead of 2 p.m., right? So don't dive too heavily into this, but there are some platforms like LinkedIn, for example, where there is analytical data that shows scheduling your post typically between the hours of 8 and like noon tend to perform better than in the evening time. So pay attention to that, but don't dive too far into that schedule your post. I would rather you just post. I don't care what time it is. Posting is better than not posting, no matter what time of day it is. And you can use analytical data to set realistic, right? Keyword realistic benchmarks and goals for your social media and for your performance that you're looking for. When I say realistic, that doesn't mean that, you've got 500 followers and your goal is 500,000. You get there one day, right? You may have a video go viral, which is like 0.01% of people, but regardless, that is not an unrealistic number, but it's not realistic short term. Or if you're not doing the things to get there, right? Consistency, engagement, all of those things going from 500 to even 5,000 is a leap, right? So you've got to be doing all of the things in order to get there. So make sure that you are setting yourself realistic benchmarks, right? Because then if you're like, man, I feel like I've been consistent for 30 days and I have only grown 10 followers. Okay, right? But that's still 10 more followers than I had 30 days ago. That's 10 more people that are my ideal client in the state of Florida that I can do business with that are following me right now. So make sure you're set. And like, if you're like, oh, well, I'm going to give up because I didn't get to my, 5,000, I needed 4,500 in a month. That's unrealistic. Okay. That's unrealistic. Could it happen? Sure. Highly unlikely. Okay. So kind of keep that in mind. And then we look at our analytics to, again, kind of going back to our strategy. Y'all, we need to optimize our strategy. So you're using your analytics to consistently refine that strategy, really focus on what's working, what's not working. If you're using hashtags, maybe try changing them up a bit each post, see if a group of hashtags performs better than those. Again, hashtags are not your end all be all when it comes to your marketing strategy, but they do help still, at least right now, with some of your reach. Even if it's, 30, 40 for a hashtag, you still might see some reach for that. I also want you to look at your audience targeting. Okay. This is how you can help adjust your targeting based on demographic and their behavior and the data that you have from it. So if you are finding, this could go one of two ways. If you are finding that a particular demographic or age range is engaging more with your content, then tailor your post to that audience. So if you find that a lot more millennial home buyers are engaging with your content, create more content for millennial home buyers. On the flip side, though, if you are really trying to dig your heels into I hope this is still recording. So sorry, we lost power for a hot second. So I'm recording this during our tropical storm, so my power has been in and out all day. Was hoping this was gonna last. I'm almost done, but it didn't. So anyways, back up to audience targeting. So if you are trying to dig your heels into, let's say, reverse mortgages, well, that is not a millennial home buyer, then you need to do some drastic changes to your content, or you need to dive into millennials that have parents or family members or loved ones in the reverse mortgage demographic sector, right? And tailor your content that way. So it does help with audience targeting. It also helps determine, again, maybe some best times for posting, maybe some ideal posting frequencies, all of that stuff. So I want you to really think about your data, what you want out of your social media. So, is it just trying to be consistent? Is it trying to make sure that you are top and center, front of mind when your realtor partners are looking for someone, when their lender drops the ball, or when a first time home buyer needs a home? What is it that you're looking for when it comes to social media? And then what strategies could work to get you there? Okay. One common question that I get when it comes to analytics is, how often should I check my analytics? So, regularly, not excessively, right? Don't be obsessive over it. I usually recommend, so I look at analytics fairly frequently, but again, this is my job. I am a full time social media manager. I recommend for someone who is doing social media to look at it monthly. The very least, you need to be looking at it quarterly. And then you also need to be doing a yearly analytic check. That yearly analytic check will help you see all of your best performing content, your posts. That's what I look for yearly, is what really performed throughout the year. Sometimes you can see it in a month, but very rarely can you see a month and be like, oh, wow. Especially if you're posting, 2 times a week, once a week, whatever, like you're not going to see what's performing extremely well in a month. So a quarter is really good to look at that stuff too. And then annually, fantastic to see content ideas. But obviously, you don't want to wait a whole year to make your changes. So that's why you still want to be checking your analytics regularly, monthly if you can, again, quarterly at the very minimum. So that is my recommendation. You can also, a little hack here is creating like a custom dashboard in like a Google spreadsheet, and track your analytics in there. Then you can kind of do some like growth factors and month over month factors, things like that. So I hope this episode was helpful for you guys. We really kind of covered diving in why analytics matter, key metrics and tools to use, how to interpret that data, and then ways to optimize your strategy. So I really hope you start leveraging your analytics. I always like to end with an actual action item for you to go do at the end of every episode. Again, this is a simplified social marketing podcast. And so I want your action item is, go into just pick one platform, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Google Business, and just look at your analytics where you are today and see. And again, if you haven't posted in 30 days, if you're like, well, Chelsea, I haven't even posted on any of my platforms in over a year. Okay, well, you're probably at 0. But just look at where you stand with your reach. You can actually, on most all of the platforms, you can adjust to take a look at a month or a year, especially if you go into Meta Business Suite for like Facebook and Instagram, you can pull up like the entire year. So maybe do that. Go into your Facebook and Instagram Meta Business Suite and key in the dates for the entire past year and just see where you stand. See what the analytics even look like, right? If you've never even looking at them, if you've never looked at them before, you're probably like, where? I don't even know. So go in, see what your analytics are, screenshot it. I would love to see it. Send it to me through a DM. I'm on any social media platform at the Chelsea Gardner. I'd love to take a look, but I hope this was a helpful episode and that you guys look at your analytics, go take a screenshot, send it to me through DM. And until next time, friends, we'll chat soon.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of the Simplified Social Marketing Podcast. Make sure to follow me on any of your favorite social platforms at the Chelsea Gardner. And don't forget to hit subscribe for your weekly dose of marketing magic. Until next time, my friend, remember to keep your marketing simple and effective.